snowballing into violence, and then citing examples from what's happening in Kenya. But if you compare the scenario in Kenya and Nigeria, those are two different, in as much as they are not so our parts. But we've had scenarios in African countries, some African countries that led to coup, right? But others didn't really lead to coup. One won't say Nigeria is actually, in as much as having a bad time now, won't be the first is experiencing such economic hardship or bad times. It's just that now it's on a different level, but there are promises or prospects from economic analysts that eventually it will become better. But why is the with ex-army generals wading in now and then hinting towards violence, leading to some sort of coup, or what is likely? Because what is happening in Kenya is not just protests now; it has taken a different dimension where they are now calling for the resignation of the president. So what we'll say is the Nigerian ex-generals prompting what they have in mind, just trying to lay a foundation to when they eventually start their own, then we'll say they just came out of the box, out of it completely.
You see, when you look at the credentials of, or you see the constitution of that panel of the Center for Crisis Management, you will discover that, like you said, these are veterans, these are experienced Nigerians, these are people who are experts in crisis management. These are people who study situations and also study the outcomes. I don't know what they understand. Yeah. So they have studied it and realized that in the past, what necessitated coup d'etats in the past, it's equivalent to what is happening today. They got to a particular point and the military told the government, or politicians told the government in power, that we have got to a point whereby if we don't control these issues, this is where it's going to lead us. So what they are saying is, because they still have boys in the military, they know that Nigerians are the solution. They know that Nigerians are unhappy. They know that Nigerians are not comfortable with what is happening. And they know that we are getting to a point. The indices are very clear. The pointers are there.
Sorry to bore.
It's the same thing that's happening in Kenya. What is happening in Kenya? Unemployment, corruption, poverty. It's the same thing that we're experiencing in Nigeria. It may be given different names, but it's almost the same thing. You understand? But because Kenya has a population of about 56 million, we have a population of over 200 million. Do you understand? Kenya is also very strategic in East Africa, in as much as Nigeria is strategic in West Africa. You understand? So this is very worrisome. It is the same crisis that has led to what happened in Burkina Faso and most of these francophone countries. I don't know what you understand. So they are looking at it that Nigerians have got to a point that, you know, there's presently a proposal which looks very equivalent to the NSAS protest. The workers is a systemic failure. There's a shutdown of the entire system. Educational system is also experiencing the same beaters. Civil service is also experiencing the same. Governance, even at state level, local, and everything, the pointers are there. The indices are very clear. Workers are not happy. University professors are not happy. The youth are not happy. Women are not happy. The traditional institutions are not happy. Everybody is not happy. So a small spark now can lead to something else. And the military, these guys are very careful. They're saying, first, resolve the issue of the minimum wage. When you're done with the minimum wage, you know, Kano is very strategic. Yeah. The tussle between Bayero and the Sanusi is also very strategic. They have studied the situation. If you go to Rivers State, Rivers is also very strategic. So when you have crisis in Kano, you have crisis in Rivers, and you have crisis in entire Nigeria, there's a problem.
Well, wasn't it during Buhari's former president's administration that we experienced the NSAS? I mean, one of the things that brought even the NSAS was because Nigerians were aggrieved.
Yes.
And that was the highest protest Nigerians ever
experienced. And they scored a point. Do you know the federal government is still regretting up to this very moment? So if you allow it, they will correct the mistakes that made that protest not succeed the manner which it succeeded.
The point I'm driving at is I didn't really see much of the ex-generals coming out to make pointers towards the violence.
It was not as bad as this.
Getting to a point where they will have to step in.
It was not as bad as this. It was not as bad as this.
You see, when you talk about hunger, there is a level to which the human mind can withstand hunger. We are experiencing national hunger. Let's not just pretend about it. A situation where someone that earns monthly is borrowing to buy food
at an expensive rate.
Right? At a very expensive rate.
Things don't go down. They keep increasing.
You see, we are playing with something very, very serious in this country. And I strongly believe our leaders should listen to these great people, I call them patriotic Nigerians, because they would have sat back and watched the situation play out, right? And for me, and I don't see it as an invitation to military coup d'etat.
Yes.
I don't see it. It is a wake-up call on the part of government. The truth is this: why is it taking so long on the issue of minimum wage to be resolved? Why? Is it that we don't value our workers in this country? When it comes to the political elite, issues that affect our political elite, overnight, they are resolved quickly. Why is it taking so long? Now, you remove fuel subsidy. I've been hammering on that issue. You remove fuel subsidy on the 29th day of May 2023, and up to date, we have not really seen, some intervention on the part of government with the aim of alleviating or ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians. How much is the bag of rice going, in the market today? How much will you buy the tomatoes we used to buy today in the market? Now, how much an average Nigerian worker is earning? Now, this conversation, delaying the whole process for me doesn't really show that the government appreciate the sufferings of the masses. Now, we had a proposal presented to the Federal Executive Council meeting. When they had the meeting, it was stepped down that they still needed further engagement and negotiations. Right? For how long are we going to resolve this issue? Now, you see leaders every day buying brand new cars for government officials. Now, is that the priority of government at the moment? Right? When people are finding very difficult to pay the school fees of their children, people are finding very difficult to take care of their medical needs. People can't eat. Not to talk of eating a decent meal or a balanced diet meal. Now, these are worrying development, and if someone tells you that what is playing out in Nigeria is different from what is happening in Kenya, I think the person is out of touch with what triggered the protest in Kenya.
Let's go out of Nigeria a little bit. We're taught in government when we were in secondary school that when, if you observe, most of the nations in Africa had their independence almost the same time, maybe an interval of a year or two. Then if you check the military coups that also took place, it's almost the same time, because they all went to Sandhurst in Britain.
Yeah.
So they now discover that we're in the same class. You're a military general in your country, so you should be one too. Now Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, they are forming a union. Then Kenya, the people are on the street asking Ruto to leave government. What does this portend to Nigeria? I know the generals have said one or two things, but imagine if the generals are not saying anything. What does that mean? What do these things mean for Nigeria? What are the implications for Nigerian government if these three countries are saying we are going to form our union, even though the ECOWAS bloc is saying come back, let's talk on the round table, but they are refusing. And now Kenya is practically chasing their government. Of course, Ruto has stopped the tax matter that actually caused this. He has reduced cost of governance. He has sacked some of his workers, as in government top functionaries, just to reduce costs. Imagine if all this are not happening. For example, Kenya, for example, is asking that the government should leave, and we have this. What does this mean, or what do this mean in Nigeria?
There are a lot of lessons to be learned.
Yeah.
There are so many lessons to be learned, particularly that Kenya is also a power bloc in East Africa,
Yeah.
and Nigeria is also a power bloc in India. And looking at how strategic it is, its relationship, its romance with the United States of America, which not every Kenyan agrees with it. You understand? Even this issue of a tax hike is as a result of the conditionalities that have been given by IMF, because you know that Kenya has also borrowed. And so because they need to fulfill certain conditions that have been established by IMF, they needed to do certain things that they're doing. William Ruto has been there for more than 21 months now. You understand? And he's been doing well. If you look at the analysis, he has been doing well.
Yes.
What has triggered most of this crisis is the tax hike. You understand? And these things are going on some. If you see the wave of revolt within the African countries, you will notice that the people have got to a point to say that no, we feel that something is wrong and it needs to be corrected. And if this thing is happening in Kenya and has got to this level, you can as well reenact or replicate the same thing in Nigeria, because what affects Kenya, the same indices, the same grievances in Kenya are common with Nigeria. So the implication is this: Kenya started it and they have got results. And so Nigeria can borrow a leaf from there and say yes, because Kenya started it. They did A, B, C, D, and they got C, D result. We can replicate here in Nigeria and still get the same result, because we share one common grievance, we share one common trouble that is bedeviled us. You understand? The same unemployment in Kenya is what you have in Nigeria. The same tax hike is what you have in the same inflation is what you have in Nigeria. Increase in price, you have almost the problems are common, they are the same. So the results that the Kenyans have, the Kenyans went to the street, you saw what they did, and you see what they're still doing. And you see, because William Ruto notices that if I don't do this, it's going to go further than this, they quickly rescinded from most of his decisions and said, you can go to this. So Nigerians will say, yes, the Kenyans did it and got result, we can as well did it and do it and still get the similar result. You understand? And because of Kenya's relationship with the US, you know, recently when William Ruto was in US, you notice that Joe Biden said it as is a NATO ally. Very strategic. They have one of the military base stable in Kenya. Is in Kenya. They also recognize that Kenya sent most of their soldiers to Haiti to kill that problem. So, because of that relationship, Kenyans are saying that Americans will never paddle you to the other side of the bank of the river. And so, if they start this, whatever William Ruto is doing, the Kenyans feel that US is behind it.
I think it was after that journey.
Yes, very good, very good. Yeah. So the Kenyans got so annoyed, they became so angry, because it was shortly after I returned from US that those decisions came. So they were very angry. You understand? Our president has just been re-elected as the president of ECOWAS country. Is that not so?
Yes.
And so we, like my colleague said, these are military officers. They stayed in the military, retired from the military, and the appointment into the CCC was not by happenstance. It was deliberate, it was calculated, and the government decided to tap into the knowledge that they have, and the government decided to put them there strategically, that wherever there's any trouble, you let us know. And it is the flags. They're now giving the Nigerian government the flag that something is wrong. We need to take care of these issues. If we don't take care of them and they escalate, we will not be able to control it.
Do you see this government adhering to this their warnings?
They may adhere to it, they may not adhere to it, because it is very.
The Nigerian government even responded to what CCC said.
You see, because what CCC is saying is not even strange. You recall that what is this person's name? I've forgotten. He's also a member of that committee. He was one time the head of service. I said we also sat and looked at some of these things. People have always complained about reduce the cost of government. One, foreign travels. You can reduce them. Foreign travels, you can reduce them. How much do you spend to pay people for Easter Court? So much money goes. You understand? Except one. The project that is supposed to be for 400 million, you push it to 1 billion. You can reduce those things. The job can be done for 400 million. You understand? You can as well go internally and look at internal facilities or internal resources that you can have to do certain things. Like I said, they are proposing buy a vehicle that can stay for 8 years or 10 years before you renew. You keep changing vehicles. There's so many things.
On the issue of cost of governance, people, there have been arguments from some analysts that the main cost of governance doesn't even happen at the top. But even among the ministries, civil service, parastatals, that is actually where the money really goes, when they begin to paddle every little thing, even paper, ink, and every little thing. That's where truly the cost of governance should begin.
Now, you see, we have entrusted the leadership of this country in some selected persons. Now it behooves on them to give us direction, right? Now whatever that affects the head has a trickle down effect on the other parts of the body. Now just imagine the scenario that you have the chief executive, of the state driving to a filling station, queuing up to buy fuel. Do you think anyone will leave the queue to boycott that process? I don't think so. So we need that needed direction on the part of our leaders. Now, when just recently I was watching an interview where one of the senators, the spokesperson of the Senate, was on channels and they were asking him, how much do you earn? The man refused answering that question. Now, when we begin to treat some of these things as though they are secret things, people are right to begin to insinuate that you guys are collecting jumbo salaries, right? Now, tell me how much you earn. You are a public officer. You are, at the instance of the people, elected to make laws for them. How much do you earn? It was a very simple question. I earn so. It's an issue that, up to date, has been an issue of speculation. right? So we don't know how much our representatives, the people who have elected, are earning. And then every day they are changing cars. Every year they are changing cars, and then you tell the people endure. The suffering may just linger for a while. Within a very short time, you begin to smile. From a year, it's 4 years, and then Nigerians have been enduring. And what these people are sending, the message they are sending is very simple.
Yeah.
May we not get to that breaking point. May we never get to that breaking point. There is an extent to which you can push someone, and a hungry man is an angry man. Now, when Nigerians begin to draw this analysis, this comparative, situation, does my life, does it really make any meaning living? Right? So when people are selling their own children to get food to eat, when things have gotten to a point that some cannot even send their wards to school, when things have gotten to the point that people cannot even go to hospitals and get the needed drugs. In fact, if we move around, some of the drugs we are buying and using today are even fake drugs, because the original drugs, we may not even afford to buy them. So you see, the Panadol used to buy let's say 15 naira. You are buying 100 naira, you are smiling. What you are buying, if truly is supposed to reflect the incoming realities on ground, you should be buying Panadol around that 500 naira. So the manufacturing company, and I believe that NAFDAC is equally aware of what is happening, because when you take drugs and you're not getting better, you are not feeling the impact of that, what you are taking is counterfeit, because of the incoming realities we have at the moment. So our leaders should be very deliberate about some of these things. Cutting cost of governance. You see, when you appoint the highest number of ministers in the history of Nigeria, and you are telling the people that we are saving costs, what message are you communicating to them? All these ministers need SUV cars. They need people, they need staff that government takes care of, right? So these are interesting events that, for me, if you ask me, who make budget proposal to the National Assembly? These things are done within the ministries, right? Now, if you tell me that as a minister who is in charge of a ministry, a director in the ministry will tell you what to do. So the cost, the idea of cutting costs, our leader must be very deliberate, and the people must see them as making sacrifices, not telling the people to sacrifice when they are not ready to sacrifice. Because we see, when they move in convoy, we begin to count the number of vehicles on the convoy, right? And then a situation just recently, one of the National Assembly members down west was beaten by the constituents that he promises to, the promises he made to the people were not kept. He ran. The people attacked him. May we not descend to that level, because the truth is this: we knew you before we elected you. We knew how you were faring. We knew the schools your children were attending. We knew the food you were eating. Overnight, you are now a member of the National Assembly. We know the kind of cars you are driving today. We know the new schools your children are attending today. Some of them are even schooling abroad, right? Overnight. Then you tell us that you are sacrificing for this country. And then when it comes to the issue of minimum wage, it's taking ages for it to be resolved. Right. And then you want the poor masses who are being affected to sit back and begin to stomach and manage some of these things for a very long period of time. It will get to a point that people will begin to tell the government that, see, we cannot take this anymore.
Okay, but now,
has fared better than democracy. The military has fared. You know, since the return of democracy, or since the inception of democracy in this country, no democratic government has ever created a local government or a state.
Okay, wait.
Are you aware of that?
Hold it. Of course, I know. Okay, now
Very
wait.
good.
When you say the military has fared better than than democracy,
yes,
I'm trying to look at how it impacts the individual.
Very good.
Or impacted the individual.
Very good. All the projects you see, all the big projects you see,
yeah,
the impactful projects you see in this country were established by, let me give you one. IBB Square in Makodi here was built by the military government. The Federal Secretariat here was built by the military government. I don't know whether you understand. So many structures here were built by the military government. And they were built by military government without going to the rigors of rigmarole back and forth going through procurement, this they did very well. You understand? I am not. This is not an invitation that the military should come back.
Yes.
But I am saying that the democracy is also good. I don't even see the military taking over in Nigeria, because even the military itself, their structures have been depleted. You now have military officers who are even serving members of particular boards. You understand? You have military officers who are serving in key positions, and they were appointed to that positions by politicians. And the politicians still have a hold on them.
Does that change the fact that a coup can happen?
No, I don't see a coup happening, because one, our diversity now is no longer our strength.
Okay.
You understand? There is no longer that patriotism, that nationalism as what you see as regional interest. So an Igbo man will not be comfortable with a Yoruba man to discuss coup. A Hausa man will not be comfortable with a Yoruba man to discuss anything concerning coup. A Tiv man will not be comfortable discussing with an Edoma man or Fulani or Hausa man in terms of anything. So there are so many odds against us now. So the military may not take over. And one of the alternatives is what the CC is telling us now, that we have got to a point where you need to correct these issues. They are not envisaging a coup. What they are envisaging is going to simply be a demonstration on the streets of Nigeria. What started the Arab Spring? It was one person. One. They changed the entire change, the wave of change that swept across the Arab nations. It was caused by one person. If we're not careful, that same experience will be replicated here. Who says it's not impossible in West African countries? It's not impossible. If it is happening in most of these francophone countries, who says that it not be possible here? Because they have succeeded. And so we are now saying that if we are not careful, even in West Africa, particularly the giant of Africa, Nigeria, which is very strategic. If it happens in Nigeria, it means that it can happen in another country. And let me tell you something. Why everybody is not praying that we'll get to that point, is because Nigeria's population. Why will you take asylum? Where? Why will you take asylum? You notice what happened to...
We have been giving asylum to other nations.
But you can notice what has caused the Prime Minister of UK. Is that not the same asylum issue?
In Rwanda.
Yes, Rwandans were trooping into UK, and he said that they should not come to UK. The current Prime Minister said if they can come, we are going to tolerate 1% of the asylum seekers from Rwanda into the country. So Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people. Why will you take the crisis begin in Nigeria? So there are so many considerations that people look at and say Nigeria does not need to get to this. If Nigeria gets to this point, it's danger for the entire African, West Africa, and the entire African nation. So we don't need to. I don't envisage any coup.
Okay.
What CC is saying is not a coup. They are only saying that there's a possibility that Nigerians can go to the street.
Okay, now just to digress a little bit, I don't know whether you are the one that is going to answer this question. If the military government has been so endearing in terms of the administration to the Nigerian citizens, how come we still clamor for democracy? If we know that democracy has not given us, democracy has never created a local government, has never created a state, and even the infrastructures that we have, like most of the big roads in Lagos were constructed by
military,
the Gowon administration.
Yes.
The bridges and the rest of it. Just recently, they started doing other bridges.
Democracy develops. It creates weight for people. It creates weight for. Yes. It creates weight
for people to.
It creates weight.
Okay, weight.
Yes, for the people.
All right.
One, because when it comes to democracy, there are certain fundamentals that you must consider. One, the supremacy of the Constitution, the rule of law, is guaranteed in a democratic government. There's the rule of law. There's the supremacy of the Constitution. There is separation of powers. Structures. There's true federalism. Structures are allowed to operate the way they want. You understand? That's what you see in democracy. But you now ask, by and large, for whose interest are these things done? Individual interest. Democracy makes people, their treasures swell up, their pockets swell up. That's what happens. But things don't work very easily the way you see in democracy. Assume it was a military. Let me give you one practical example in Benue State here. People are complaining that the present governor of Benue State is doing certain projects, and people are lauding him for those projects. Others who are singing discordant voices are saying that he has no regard for procurement rules. Yes, because he has no regard for procurement rules, he's doing certain things. He declares that tomorrow they are going to start constructing the road, and the next day you see missionaries will be moved to the place. Because if it takes those proposals before the state house was sent to go through the right bureaucratic network or to go through legislative processes before execution, it may take some time. So when it comes to, in terms of speed of work, you see it in the military.
Yeah.
Because they declare, they make it by decrees and edicts, and it happens, and nobody questions it. But when you come to democracy, you must follow the due process, and bureaucracy becomes a bottleneck.
Yeah. Okay, we may need to maybe digress. Not digress actually. Now we have, you painted a very gloomy, for me, a very gloomy situation.
Yeah.
It's as if we're never getting out of this.
No way. I'm very
But
I'm
there's
very
always a
optimistic
way
about
out.
it. Yes,
There's always a way out.
Yes.
I need you to tell us one or two things about the possible things, because the fear for me is Nigeria delving into what is happening in Kenya. It might stipulate goodness or something good for Nigerians, but the implications are enormous because of the diversity we have in this country.
Yes.
You spoke earlier about the diversity.
Yes, yes,
Even when we are united in that,
yes,
the issue of tribe, the
Yes.
issue of region,
Yes.
the issue of religion
Yes.
will still. So now, in order, because these are very dangerous paths, what are we supposed to do to make this happen so that there will be a seamless transition to what we're asking for? We're not saying Mr. President is going out, but there must be something he should do so that every Nigerian will be happy.
All right. I wish our leaders quickly resolve some of those issues that affect an average Nigerian. What do I mean by saying they should resolve quickly some of these issues is that, of the truth, people are going through a lot. And our leaders must connect with the people to feel the pulse of the people and then begin to channel policies. In fact, the National Assembly should be people oriented. You know,
I think
the
that's where
laws,
the problem is.
the laws made by the National Assembly should be driven towards, reaching the people and bettering the lives of the people as opposed to bettering their own selves. Because a situation where it's taking ages for us to have a review of the national minimum wage. In fact, by law, that minimum wage for workers is supposed to be reviewed every 5 years, right? And since the enactment of the National Minimum Wage Act, it has not been reviewed. Now, it has taken decades for the labor movement to begin to advocate for a review of the National Minimum Wage Act. Now, it clearly shows that our leaders are not really in tune with some of these realities.
Yeah.
Once it doesn't affect them, no one cares. It shouldn't be that, it shouldn't be so. So our leaders should quickly go to the drawing table and begin to reverse some of this. If there are economic policies, in fact, a situation where people are spending more on transportation, and then you are increasing import duties, you are building up taxes and all that for the masses who are already burdened, who are already suffering. Does not all go well for our system.
Yesterday, the federal government removed taxes and levies from essential goods like maize, wheat, that are being imported to Nigeria.
Now, that is the way to go. However, it has its economic implication on the nation as well.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, we are undermining our local production. Right? Now, the idea is very simple. Now, in fact, if not about 30 or 25 states in Nigeria are ravaged by insecurity issues. Now, our farmers producing, right? Now, if because of insecurity, people cannot go to their farms, if because of kidnapping, people are afraid to travel from one part of the country to another to do business, it should worry the government. Now, quickly, the issue of insecurity needs to be addressed dispassionately, without any sentiment attached to it, right? Whoever is responsible for the insecurity in this country must be brought to book, so that Nigerians begin to have confidence in the security agencies of government. Nigerians begin to trust our leaders when they begin to speak to issues. Now, our leaders must quickly begin to make the needed sacrifice. If it means slashing their salaries and allowances so as to have more funds available for people-oriented projects, let them make that sacrifice for this country. Because the truth is that if this country goes into flames, which we don't pray for, all the comfort they are enjoying will not be there. It won't be there, because we knew what happened in Lagos during the NSAS.
Yeah.
In fact, the president, some of his investment were affected by that protest. So you may gather all the money and then invest in this country, thinking that You are securing the future of your children. But when the chips are down, we will live with the effects of it for centuries. So may we never get to that point. And only for our lawmakers to begin to look in the direction of the welfare of the people over above their own personal welfare. A situation where billions are budgeted for for library for the National Assembly. When we have children sitting on bare floors receiving lessons in our primary schools. You are building a library that most of them may not even use because they don't even read. Right? So the billions should be channeled to other priority projects that will better the lives of Nigerians. And I believe that if we cut down the cost of governance in this country, getting a living wage for our workers is not an impossible thing to do.
Speaking of cost of governance as a solution to the current economic hardship experienced by Nigerians, and then see how that will be a solution to averting the possible crisis of violence that is looming around us here. I mean, the military equally shares, because the situation is very complex, the military equally shares in this high cost of governance. We have in the past seen where the military have over time come out to say technically defeated insurgency, Boko Haram, they make demands, sometimes demands are given to them, and then they still come back and say partially defeated, and it's not defeated, the problem come again. And we've heard some some allegations or some hands pointing at the military and saying somehow they don't want this insecurity to enter the country because they benefit heavily from some of these things. So now is the genuinity of the military coming out now to even talk about high cost of governance as a solution to this problem.
I think if you narrow the issue down to the military, you may be missing the point. And the fact that it's coming from ex-military generals.
Now, questions
right.
Call
Now, you see, these people who are talking are people who serve this country meritoriously, right? You see, the times have changed. And even at the military level, if you get to engage the real foot soldiers who are in battlefront, who have sleepless nights, who have abandoned their families to fight in defense of this country, they are the receiving end of some of these issues. It's the big ogas, the few who occupy big and cozy offices in Abuja, who don't even go to the battlefront, that at the end of the day may be receiving some of the benefit of some of these insecurities we're experiencing at the moment. The junior officers who are in Sambisa Forest, who are in our villages trying, when it's raining, they're on the road. They are the receiving. How much is their pay? Some of them, their allowances may even be delayed and not paid on time. Right? Now, these are people that some, for how many years have not seen their families. So, if you look at the whole situation, you see, the politicians, the big ogas who appointed the chief of army staff and all these categories of persons. Now, there is something that is happening behind the scene. Now, budgetary provisions for security is treated with some level of secrecy, such that when Adams Oshomole moved the motion that budgetary provision for the security should be subject to scrutiny, and then even oversight of the National Assembly should be taken seriously. They never agreed with him. Who are the contractors providing or buying ammunition for the military and all that? And when these things are not done, who is asking the right questions as to who is responsible for such failures? Right? Now, who appoints the chief security officers? And if they are not performing, in whose power or who is in the position to do the needful? Now, you see a situation that there is a development that is happening in this country that we are not really averting our mind to. Very senior officers who put in all their years in service, and then one politician comes overnight, appoints their juniors, far juniors, as the chief of army staff, and those who gave this country their best have no choice than to retire from the service, because it is part of their tradition. You can't remain in service as a senior officer to the chief of army staff, who is far your junior. So this development, for political reasons, for whatever considerations our leaders have, it's not really healthy for our system. You can't spend a lot of money training officers, and people who serve this country dedicatedly, who gave their best for this country, thinking that one day they will be recognized. Then lo and behold, when it's their turn to lead at the military formation, someone tells you, please, you have to take a bow. We don't need you any longer. If our junior is appointed, it has a way of demoralizing those who are committed to serving this country. What is happening to those police officers who, were killed in one operation or the other? What has happened to their families? How are the family faring? Are we really interested in asking questions? How much is the salary of an average police officer in this country? Then you want the person to put his life in line for this country when he knows that my colleague who was at the battlefront with me died and the wife was abandoned with the kids. And you have situations where the families are asked to leave the barracks within a month of the demise of their loved ones. So we shouldn't be treating people in this country with that kind of disdain and then expect the best from them, right? Now, if we begin to engage some of these security guys and then ask them to pause, some of them, they just move like zombies. It's not because they're happy doing it. Because when politicians create problems for them and then they are ushered in like zombies to go and put the situation under control, when some of them even go with hungry stomach.
Okay. Sorry to butt in here. Let me come to you, Barrister Polycarp here. Like Ruto to reverse some of his decisions, especially that of on tax, just to see how he could appease the minds of the people, and probably seeing that his economic policies were not working on for the interest of the people and they protested or reacted. Should President Tinubu reverse some of his own economic policies as well? Because I know we have at this point right now, particularly because of even the removal of the fuel subsidy that necessitated or made the naira, to depreciate against the dollar, and we are experiencing some of the other policies as well, monetary policies that were. But so, do you think it's best for him to reverse that decision?
Even if he has taken a very fair
towards wrapping up too. And
yes.
If you are Mr. President, what will you do to ease?
Like my colleague said, you need to listen to the people. Yeah. You will notice that even the CCC, what they said is like national dialogue. We need to dialogue. It's an ongoing conversation. Let us agree. Let's have one common way of agreeing on these issues. Because one, on your ascension into the presidency, what you told Nigerians is the first pronouncement you made was to remove the fuel subsidy. And you told Nigerians the reason why you did it. You say, we are going to remove this fuel subsidy because it is part of the leakage in the Nigerian economy. As soon as I remove it, money will be saved for us to apply it to other sectors of the economy. That's what he told Nigerians. And within 1 week, he told Nigerians how much he has been able to realize from the removal of the subsidy. Was that money applied in a manner that will cushion the sufferings and agonies of Nigerians? It did not happen. You understand? So it is not a matter of changing your decision. It's a matter of the people seeing the political will, the interest and the consciousness to do that in the interest of the public. That's what Nigerians are expecting. So it's not about removing it, but even if you don't remove it, what are the safety measures? What are the measures that you have put in place to cushion the effect of what people are already complaining? Okay, so much has been saved from the removal of subsidy. How far have we been able to apply the money? So much money has been recovered by Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. You say these monies were appropriated for, but were embezzled, and EFs have recovered this money. How much have we been able to apply it? I don't know whether you understand. Labour has got to a point that they're asking for 250,000 per month. The federal government is still within the region of 60,000. Can you tell people, can you tell Nigerians that this and this and these are the reasons why we can't pay this money? These are the reasons why this thing is not sustainable. Do you understand? So Nigerians must see the sincerity in you. But if they don't see the sincerity, like he said, we discussed, it was on this platform that we discussed, the National Anthem Law Act. How long did it take? Within 2 weeks, they were able to pass it. Why are we not using the same speed to attend to other national issues that are of great importance to the generality of Nigeria? I don't know what they understand. So there must be that sincerity of purpose. That's the only thing Nigerians are asking for. Let the president be sincere, be honest to Nigerians for once, that we are taking this decision for this and this and these reasons. Let this is a private government sector private sector partnership. You understand? Then the people must also be able to be carried along. should understand the reason behind certain decisions and prepare our minds first. Let us be able to put in the safety net and the shock absorbers to know that, tell us that I'm going to take this decision, it will be in the long run, it will benefit all of us. But in the interim, you will suffer the consequences. But this is how we're going to apply. But the president has never been successful.
You see, at the moment,
yes, seconds.
Yes. At the moment, you have a president talking about new presidential jet.
Yes.
You hear a president talking about renovating or building a new house for the vice president.
Yes.
Come on.
Are these priorities?
Come on. Are these really priority? Is it that the president doesn't have jets that can take him wherever he wants to travel to the world? Right? Right? So you see.
But if they take,
you see with these billions, voted for some of these projects. Just take the budget of this country and then you understand the priority attention of the government. It's about the welfare of the leaders, not the welfare of the people.
Let's just take to our comment sections. We have our questions tripping in from that angle to see the reactions that are coming in as our viewers watch the Break Benue this morning. Okay, Stevie.
The best broadcast I've watched and listened to this year. Such sensitive issues are needed to be addressed extensively for the digestion of the masses to have little hope in life. Else, a lot of things are going to happen. It's not completed.
Well, we'll see more.
Okay. He said things are in our minds.
Right. That's from Teungwa.
Yeah, Teungwa. Okay. I think the person is trying to commend the program and probably your presence and the way you are tackling the questions. I don't know yet.
All right. So just like I was saying, the truth is this: when you look at the projects that preoccupy the minds of our leaders, you begin to ask questions whether it's really about the people, right? It was during Osinbajo's time as vice president that we renovated the house of the vice president. This time around, currently there is provision in the budget for the house of the vice president in Lagos to be renovated, and then the one in Abuja to be, in fact, a new house to be built for the vice president of this country. So you look at the priority attentions of our leaders, what really preoccupies their minds. Then you begin to ask the right questions that, you see, we have elected people who should pretend and pursue our own common good, whereas they are more preoccupied with their own personal comfort, and that shouldn't be the way to go.
And the president, sorry,
Yes.
and the president is very reluctant and very passive in certain issues that are of national importance. One of the issues that the committee raised yesterday is, can you finish this crisis, this Emir Tosu in Kano? You understand? Because this has lingered for too long. It's also part of those things that is a potential danger. Resolve it. The presidency has remained very mute. You go to Rivers State, the president currently has a minister of the FC, and this rubbish is happening in Rivers, and he's keeping mute, keeping quiet. And Nigerians are beginning to ask, why are you keeping quiet? Because these are issues that, even as much as it's a presidential system of government, it's a federating unit, you still have impulse to make in the river crisis. You can call your if the pointers are too much on Wike, who is in your government, who is your appointee, then you need to call him to order. Let Nigerians see you doing that.
All right.
You understand? Because Nigerians are feeling that he's working from the background.
All right, this is a good place to leave it. We're going to be wrapping up here. We've been talking to Barrister Polycarp Ande and Barrister Timothy Amatimin. They are both legal practitioners and public affairs analysts. We'll be having this interesting discussion, maybe a part 2 next time. And I'm saying, have a lovely day and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right, we'll be leaving you at this point in time. Stay tuned for the rest of our programs, the news at 9 most especially. My name is Stephen Abba.
My name is Mercy.